Good morning.
Okay, with Andrew Conlyn, High Ground is the winning screenplay. He's with us. Really interesting film. It's very, I guess we're kind of in the future a little bit, but it's still a drama. You tell us, what's the script about?
Well, it's a near future after global warming has increased flood levels, and there it's a story about Gloria Tejeda, and I used the name Gloria Tejeda because I like the initials GT in honor of Greta Thunberg, who I really admire. So Gloria is an architect. She was disabled as a child and has done marvelous things uh, despite her disability. Her partner Nancy and she run Blue Waters Design, and Miami, Florida has been immersed in flooded waters, and they're largely building a new Miami just west of the old Miami, and everything from Miami's moving into New Miami as sea levels rise. Well, there's a tsunami, an earthquake offshore, and a tsunami comes in and swamps the city. So this is Gloria, and Gloria immediately rushes to action despite her disability. She's on crutches and leg braces. Despite her disability, she becomes a hero and becomes well known. And this is a story of what happens to her as people dislike what she's doing because she's fighting global warming, and a lot of interests want to continue to use fossil fuels. She's and She's also having to fight this disability, and it's a story of what happens to her in the conclusion of that. She does her wins and losses. It's a description of disability of somebody who's on crutches and braces
Mhm.
actually has to go through in life. Like, you can't hold an umbrella, so if you're out in the rain, you're out in the rain. You can't walk fast. You're worried about slipping. So that's just some of the things that we talk about reality. I'm on crutches and braces, so I know what you go through. And there's a story, a portion of her when she's going through TSA at an airport of what she goes through. Well, I can tell you exactly where each one of those things that she went through happened to me. Happened in Newark, they happened in Washington National Airport and other places. So it's written from the heart. It's semi-autographical because I am autobiographical because I am an architect in Southwest Florida,
Yeah.
and but I'm not a lady.
Yeah,
Never
I was
had.
going to say,
Don't want to be.
you switched the gender. Why did you switch the gender?
Because I admire strong women. I don't think I would write anything except a strong woman's story. I grew up in the outskirts of Washington, D.C. and Virginia. My sister was 4 years older than I was, and she worked for WTOP television, which was owned by the Washington Post. And now this was in the 50s.
Okay.
She came home furious from work one day. She said, I get $50 a week, and I'd get $70 a week if I were a man.
Yeah.
She was a very intelligent, very talented, a very attractive woman, and there was no reason in the world that that wouldn't pay her every bit as much as a man. And I guess ever since that, I've been really what you might call a woman's liver. I fight. I really believe that women are wonderful people, and I admire them tremendously, and want to see them do use all of their capabilities to the fullest extent. So maybe that's why I made Gloria disabled, because she has so much to overcome, and certainly why I made her a woman. That she and Nancy are running this great architectural company, doing really
Mhm.
well, and she also builds a house in there that is like the house I'm going to build for myself out in the mangroves. And just you ought to read the book and see what her house is. It's really amazing. And if you come by to visit me when I have mine built, it will be really amazing.
So I want to touch on a few things. One, just to go back to what you're saying, I guess what they said is that the rationalization why men got paid more than women was that men needed more money than women did to live. Some of them had families, and some of them, which is kind of a ridiculous argument, but that was their argument back in the day, right? So,
Well, that was one of the arguments, but deep down inside, I think that the people who ran the country or ran these businesses felt that men were superior to women and
yeah,
deserved.
well,
That's
100%.
what I think happened
Well,
there.
that's exactly what happened. There's some really interesting books, even like even like in the 70s, right? Where I remember there's a book about like basketball where like they you could see that women's basketball is very popular now, but they would only do half court, right?
Yeah,
Because they didn't think women can run the full court and they can play basketball properly, right? So,
yeah,
and that was just in the 70s.
yeah.
So it tells you where that's in our lifetimes, right? It tells you like how far we've gone and like how far we need to go. So anyway, I just want to touch on that. But it's funny that you're talking about disability because she's the main character. Because I was just talking to in a previous podcast, a disability filmmaker, like two podcasts ago, and he was all about like there's not enough disability uh, performances. Like they're like 10% of the population, but we don't see them in the movies at all. We don't see anybody who's disabled in the movies, like generally speaking, right? And and if they are, then they're marginalized. They're not doing anything. They're like they need help from somebody who isn't disabled. And so it's funny that I'm talking to you now because you have this fully fleshed out disabled character who basically is an architect, is smart, and basically is capable of doing whatever she needs to do, I guess, to survive life, right?
Right. She's got tremendous drive.
Yeah.
She just won't sit still. She will do what she's a very strong person with
Yeah.
tremendous drive and has put herself through this. She, like me, is a licensed pilot. I have a hand control on my airplane.
Oh, wow.
She's a certified scuba diver. I'm certified Patty. So she is, in a way, a copy of myself. But uh, but I made her a woman because I just wanted to show the world that
Yeah.
a woman could do that.
And so, okay, so we're in the future. So there's a lot tone wise. I gotta ask you about tone because there's some political satire in your script. It's a drama. There's a little bit of romance. Obviously, it's an environmental film. How did you kind of pull it all together tone wise to kind of make it kind of one cohesive story?
I have no idea. It
Okay.
just uh, I've written two other books that had strong women leads. They were rocket scientists that working out of Cape Kennedy. And with everything I write, I almost feel like I'm a scribe. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm definitely what they call a seat of the pants writer. I get down and put the pencil to the paper, actually the fingers to the keyboard, and I'm amazed sometimes what comes out. I don't know where it comes from, but it comes from me somewhere.
So this is based on your novel, this screenplay, right?
It's actually the other way around. I'm writing the novel High
Oh,
Ground
okay.
now, and my prior books and screenplays were the Venus Prophecy, and they were about a very strong female that had a lot of. She wasn't disabled, but she had a lot of. She didn't realize how strong she was. She was very. I can't think of what the word is, but she just didn't have a lot of self-confidence, and yet she was able to do incredible things. And Gloria is the same way. Gloria is suffering from fear of somebody seeing her crutches. Or, well, of course, she can't hide your crutches, but the braces she walks in, she hides them as best she can. She also has dysmorphia, which is where somebody feels that their body is distorted when it really isn't. She has dysmorphia about her breasts being weird, and it's hard for her to overcome that. So there's a lot of body shame issues in the story too.
Mm.
Um, and of course, her partner Nancy is a great character to bounce things off of because she also is a strong woman, obviously, or she wouldn't be partners with Gloria.
So, in a general question to ask you, and it's very general, but do you think there is a bias and prejudice against disabled people in our culture?
I hadn't really, I, in a way, maybe to a certain extent. Um, But we have so many laws now. Like as an architect, I've got to make sure every building I design is compliant for the ADA requirements.
Yeah,
And sometimes I think they go too far, honestly. But I'm glad they're there. In my personal life, I'm glad they're there. When I go into business that's on
yeah.
the second floor, I know I can get up to the second floor without having to climb stairs because they have to have an elevator. So, but to answer your question directly, it goes both ways because a lot of people are there to help. They're very sympathetic to people with disabilities and they want to do what they can for them. in terms of whether like a person would have a problem hiring a disabled person, even though he or she was fully able to do the job. I don't really think that happens. But I think maybe there's. I know when I was dating, I'm married now, a grandfather, have two children, three grandchildren. But when I was dating, there were a lot of girls that wouldn't go out with a guy on crutches. So
Yeah.
yeah, there is some. One of them became a good friend of mine, and she admitted to me, "Yeah, I wouldn't date you because you're on crutches." So there is some bias against us.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, so okay, so it says in the blog interview that you've written a few like novels and then you've written screenplays. Did you start writing two novels, three screenplays, a lot of dozens of short stories? Did you start writing novels first or screenplays first?
Novel. I wrote the Venus Prophecy. I was waiting in a doctor's office, and somehow or other, I got to thinking about Venus, the planet Venus, and I got to thinking that they're an awful lot like Earth, and that scientists think there's oceans there, and I just got this idea. Wow, what if people were on Venus once and they let out too much carbon dioxide, and that's why Venus got destroyed? I thought, man, somebody ought to write a book about that. Well, I'd always kind of wanted to write a book. But it never occurred to me I'd actually do it. Next thing I knew, I found myself doing an outline in pencil on my desk at home of what that story would look like. Next thing I knew, that outline started fleshing out and it became a book. And people that read it thought it was pretty darn good, which of course I agree with.
But you were an architect. This is almost like a hobby in a sense. Like you just decided like it just came out.
Well, I don't quit my day job yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
So uh, I love writing. If nobody reads my book, it's just the joy I get out of writing it, out of
Yeah.
seeing what happens. I can't wait to finish my novel of the high ground because there could be things happening in that aren't happening in the screenplay. Then I'll go back to the screenplay and update it to what's going on in the novel. Uh, but yeah, I love writing, and I've always wanted. And I've started trying to write a book much when I was much younger, but this time, thanks to technology and Word and keypads and so on, I'm able to actually do it very easily.
Yeah. Because I'm assuming like in the typewriter days, it was a lot harder.
Well, yeah, actually, I tried a ballpoint pen on a legal pad when I was about 20,
Okay.
and that got me about 3 pages before I decided it was too tough.
Gotcha. Well, that's good for technology. Is there a similarity of being an architect and being a writer? Is there certain personality similarities?
I don't know about personality similarity, but I have the same process,
Okay.
creativity.
Yeah, that's sort of what I was gearing at. Yeah, yeah.
I'll look at a blank piece of paper and I've got to figure out what that building is going to look like,
Mhm.
what that book is going to look like. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I start drawing, I start writing. I don't know where it comes from, but I get these ideas. And a lot of people think I'm a pretty creative architect. A lot of people think I'm a pretty creative writer. And I think it all comes back to the fact that I am a creative person. I love creating things, and that's why I like writing books, and that's why I like drawing up buildings.
And so you've designed a lot of buildings, one would assume, or what's the because the architects is different. There's different stages, different developments. You work as a team. What have you designed?
Well, I've designed, well, of course, I've designed my own house, which is my masterpiece. It's gonna, you really need to come by and see it when I get
Okay.
it built.
Is it
Uh,
somewhere online that you can see it, the design, or
no, well, not yet, but if you read when you read the novel, the story about Gloria's house, the glass swimming pool on the roof and the
okay.
solar cells and the elevator that just goes up through the roof, that actually it was on a house I built in the past. And I was stupid enough to sell when I didn't really want to sell it, so I'm trying to build a new one now. And but all of that is in my design.
So someone else is living in your dream house right now, or your old
Yeah,
dream.
yeah, somebody else is
Are
living
they
in
good
it.
people at least, or
What's that?
are they good people at least, or living in your
Uh,
old dream house?
they got a bunch of dogs, and I don't think they're taking very good care of my house.
Oh, but we could buy it. I hope maybe I don't know. Sell this novel, you can buy that house.
Well, I would like to buy it back. Yes,
Yeah.
I would. But the house that I'm building is going to be spectacular. And other buildings that I've done, I'm doing a luxury condominium, for a 6 unit condominium for some wealthy people in Cape Coral. And again, we're putting a glass pool on the roof and a party room up on the roof. And we've done restaurants as well as just routine shopping centers and nail salons and things like that.
Yeah.
Just just to keep myself alive financially.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because yeah, sometimes you gotta there's certain jobs that you just have to do, right? Like so,
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. I'm assuming that the nail salon is not creatively inspiring, but I could be wrong.
Well, there were some they wanted to do something a little fancy.
Good.
They were um, they were Vietnamese people. A couple of them came together and wanted to do this, and they wanted to do something spectacular.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they got in a fight with each other and ended up going their separate ways and never building this nail salon, so I'll never
Yeah.
get to see it. But at
Oh,
least I
okay.
got paid for it.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, so you started writing, and then it sounds like an interesting like what have you like I'm sure that you like what's your process? Do you have like a routine when you write, or do you just write when you're inspired? Like, or do you like in terms of like you write the like a fast first draft and you go back and re-edit? Like, do you have a certain process?
Well, the process, yeah, I believe there is. I've always been a storyteller, and I've always come up with, even in elementary school, I would come up with stories, and I would tell stories to my children when they were babies, and bedtime stories. And I would always tell them a story because it was I didn't want the lights on. I didn't want to read something. I wanted to make it up, and I was just like these stories. When I started telling a story, I never knew where it was going to end, and they're actually pretty good. And I'd like to publish them too. But to answer your question, if I get an inspiration, I can't really write without having some kind of an inspiration, like the thought I had on the Venus prophecy while I was waiting in a doctor's office, and then I got the thought for high ground, and I thought and it took me a long time. And I said, if I have to wait as many years to write my second novel as it took me to write my first novel, I'm going to be dead before I get around to it. But then the inspiration came for High Ground, and I got to just started writing it. I work it out in my mind, and I said, well, where is this story going to go? And I have to have a pretty good notion in my mind of what's going to happen before I start it. Then, as I start it, I let it go where it wants to go. And it doesn't always turn out exactly the way I had it in my mind, but I have to have some sort of inspiration to give me the desire to get this thing down on paper.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so, is there something else that you're focused on the novel right now? That's what you're working on right now, the novel version of Higher Ground.
I'm making the novel version of High Ground
Yeah,
now, and it is coming out fairly close, but I'm also adding certain things to it. And I've got an idea for a, a follow-up, not so much a sequel, but a follow-up, because I leave, I don't want to put a spoiler in on this, but the way I leave my protagonist offers a lot of potential in the future.
gotcha. And what year are we in this not in this novel or this screenplay?
You're in, the near future. It can't really
Yeah,
be really
you can't
2000.
pin down the date like
Well, we're in a year that I hope doesn't happen. I mean,
yeah,
Miami's
exactly.
already experiencing flooding, so is New York, and I'm not even here in Fort Myers where I live has had some. Well, we had a severe hurricane a couple of years ago, and the whole beach
Yeah.
got wiped away. So we were talking about 5, 10 years in the future. That's all.
Yeah. So you live in Fort Myers. I used to go there as a kid all the time. Fort
Yeah,
Myers Beach, actually. And I was told by a filmmaker that that whole area got wiped out by the
it did.
hurricane. Yeah.
It did. Absolutely. It was terrible. It's just huge stormy and came in 2 years ago and just washed everything off the beach. I've never seen any kind, I've seen hurricanes, but I've never seen anything like what happened to Fort Myers Beach. It just was this, you see pictures in the paper of a disaster of this building that's been collapsed, but when
Mhm.
you go mile after mile after mile and the streets are gone, the street signs are gone, can't even really tell where you are, but it's mile after mile after mile of this disaster. It was just an experience I hope I never have to have again. Fortunately, my home was basically safe from the hurricane.
Are they building it back up now, the Fort Myers Beach?
They are, they are. It's coming back very well.
Yeah. So we're watching. We do film festivals every week in downtown Toronto, and there was a film yesterday. We had a film festival yesterday, and it talks about like back in like up in like northern Canada, where you people can see the climate change like with their own eyes, right? Because it's the weather, they're seeing because it's snowy and they're seeing it shift very quickly. And then the States, you don't see it as you don't see it, you don't your eyes don't see it. So then there's a lot of conspiracy theories about it's not true and things like that. And you can just you're telling people like just go like Greenland or Iceland, there are all the northern kind of countries. They're seeing it with their own eyes.
How can you not see it in the United States? I mean, look at these fires. Look at the
I
hurricanes.
know.
I mean, it's just it's awful what's happening here. And they're having the hottest weather they've ever had, and they're having the coldest weather they've ever had.
Yeah.
Uh, it's clear to me that climate is changing.
Yeah, no, it is like that's what I'm saying. That like if it's even scarier because they're seeing it, it's because it starts on the top, right? It's sinking down.
Yeah.
And it's like in humans we're narcissists by nature, so we're only gonna do something when we need to, right? When we really need to, right? So that's the
I have
unfortunate
to
part.
I have to add something that sometimes I write things in my novels that I don't understand why they're there.
Yeah.
And then as I evolve the novel, I realize why I put that in. So see, I don't know where they're coming from, but the biggest example is in the Venus prophecy. I created two of the artifacts that they got from Venus. I didn't know why that was there. I didn't need to.
Mhm.
But then when I wrote the sequel, it was all pivotal on the second one that I had put in the first one. So, and this happens with all my stories. And one of the things in back online with what you were saying, it was actually in the Venus prophecy, but it would certainly apply. I said that they were developing the San Franciscan hurricane scale. It's now category 1 through 5. Said, well, hurricanes are getting so much more severe now that they've added a sixth category to it. That was in the Venus prophecy, but now they're talking about doing that because hurricanes are getting more severe.
Yeah.
So that's the climate change we were just talking about. Hurricanes are getting more severe. Fires are getting, droughts are getting more severe. Heat waves are getting more severe. So yes,
Look what happened in Texas, right?
yeah,
The
yeah.
floodings.
That flood. I went to school in Texas, and that flood was in an area I used to love to go to on long weekends. And the Guadalupe River was beautiful out there, just beautiful. And the canyon was gorgeous. So I just really felt for the people out there, what happened, and those poor little girls.
Yeah, but nobody's talking about like why, right? So, because well, we don't know the full answer, but yeah. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation. But that's why I was curious about how far the future was. And just to go back to what you're saying, I think that you have instincts. I think you have feelings about like because I think you're one with yourself. I'm not to sound flaky, and so I think that's what it's coming out in your writing, right? You're like you have instincts about what's happening, right? So I think it comes out in your creativity.
Well, there's something that happens that where I will write something and it'll happen a week later.
Yeah.
Again, in the Venus prophecy, they had to postpone their launch because a sailboat had drifted in the downrange area. They had to go get it out, and they're going to lose their window. Well, shortly after I wrote that, and that was actually launched at Wallops Island, a not very well known launch in Virginia. And there was in the news not long after I'd written that a private airplane flew over top of the Wallops launching site, and they blew the launch because that private airplane was there. And I thought, oh wow, I could have used an airplane. It would have worked as well. So it's
Yeah.
just seeing these things that happen before they actually happen was kind of a fun sideline of writing a book.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Well, fantastic script. I wish you the best of success with it. Before we leave you, we always ask, like in the blog interview, we always ask people what movie they watch the most times in their life. Do you remember what you answered in the blog interview?
Yeah, what I answered in the blog interview was Dr. Strangelove.
Doctor Strangelove, yeah.
What a
So
great movie.
yeah, it still holds up. It's even more interesting watching it now, right?
Yeah, it
So
is. Yeah, it is.
yeah. Talk about a movie that was like it was like very relevant in the time it was made and also like holds up like 50 years later.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true genius right there. So,
Yes.
and it's very funny as well, right? So,
Oh, yes, it was a blast.
yeah. But like kind of like dark funny, like where it's like it's serious funny, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in the interesting political times that we live in now, without saying too much, yeah, it kind of holds up. It's a great people, younger generation should watch that film for sure.
Yeah, it was very good, and so funny, and yet still so relevant today.
Yeah. Do you remember the last time you watched it?
Actually, I haven't watched that recently. I need to do it again.
Yeah.
I got a close friend that we were talking about it the other day, and he said we need to watch that again.
Yeah.
So maybe I will. We can we can get a copy of it from the library and watch it at
Oh,
home.
you're
But
old school, getting copy from the library. Gotcha.
yeah, well, that's my wife.
Yeah.
She likes to. She finds out what good books, movies are at the library, and she takes
Yeah.
them out.
I
We've
used
seen
to
some
do
pretty
that
good
all the
movies.
time. I used to
Yeah.
like, yeah, that was my thing. So, especially in a big city, you can get everything. All these libraries is like one of the greatest resources that we
Yeah.
have
Well, in the
as a
state of
society.
Florida, it's all one big system. It probably is in every state, but they may not have it here, but they might have it in Tallahassee. So we got to wait a
Yeah.
week for them to get it down here, but they'll have it.
Isn't that amazing? Like people don't should take advantage of that more. Great. I know that they want to basically lose all those kind of social programs in the Florida, but that's something they got to keep the library going, right? So
Yes, sir.
especially in today's time. All right. Well, congratulations on the script. It was great talking to you and fantastic book. I love to see this in it turn into a movie. And like you said, like we real disabled person playing a disabled part would be fantastic. I think that's what the world needs.
Well, I'd absolutely love to see that. So uh, hopefully we both will get a chance to watch it.
All right. Let's talk again when you make another award-winning script.
All right, well, that'll happen.